Hola, hola, ¿qué pasa? What up, what up? Y salvete. So today I'm doing something a little different and I'm returning to some of my roots, if you will, because I used to actually work on mail or chainmail armor back in the day, and I made basically the equivalent of what one might think of as a crusader's outfit, if you will. I mean, it's not just that time period. It is also accurate to the all the way up through the 13th and 14th centuries because I made a suit of mail, and part of that got me into armor and armoring and medieval fighting and swords and all that kind of nonsense. So I've been thinking about Lady Galadriel's armor here for a little while, and I figured, why not? I will do a dive into an analysis of what our dear leader is wearing in this background image, this picture. Because I think they're going for a like 14th to 15th century type of look. And so I'll just start off. Number one, I mean, one of the biggest things that jumps out at me is how close this cuirass is to her neck. Because, I mean, if you look at other examples of armor, so you have two different styles. You have the German Gothic style, or what became the German Gothic style, and you have the Italian style. Also the Milanese style, which is in Italy. So you have even smaller breakdowns. I think there were some northern and southern influences in the armor. So the German style had a lot of what might be termed fluting in the armor plate itself, which is what you can see in some of these. That was a Pinterest thing, so it doesn't let me zoom over. Let me try maybe this one. I'll try, here we go. Here's a Gothic suit of armor. View the file. So you can see the flutes in the armor itself. So they're kind of going for that with Galadriel here. It's kind of nice, I guess. It looks a little beat up, but I mean, I guess if that's what you're going for, sure. You know, you go for the battle stuff. I mean, she already got like orc blood going on here, you know, down at the corner here, but we'll get into that. So my big thing with this, I think, is how the breastplate interfaces with the neck here, because it looks like, I mean, why is she wearing a tuxedo? This is really going to restrict and hinder her neck movement and the muscles of her neck and of her upper chest as she tries to turn her head, as she tries to actually use her shoulders as well, because that's connected. So one of the things that they have, at least in the German tradition, is this thing called a bevor, and it's like a bib. And let me see if I can find a better image of the German armor without a helmet attached. Here's another good. I'll just talk about this really quickly. This is another interesting example. This is probably from a late 14th century, 1380s. 1386, I think, was the Battle of Visby. I believe I have to do some double checking on that and get the dates right. But I think there were a lot of armor finds from that battle, because in that battle, I recall that so many of the knights died, they just were buried right there on the battlefield in their armor. And so that's just what happened. So we actually have a lot of well-preserved examples from that. So you can see the 14th century layered look. And Galadriel has some of that going on here. I mean, it's kind of nice, I guess. She's got the rear braces and the van braces and the couters, however you prefer to say it. If you're into speaking French, because we get a lot of armor terms from French, like salet and sabaton and other terms as well. To go back to the breastplate issue, let's look at, let me dig down in here. Here we go. Here is a, let's look at this gentleman and see that particular breastplate. See how low the breastplate is to like his clavicle, is to his collarbone, and see how high that breastplate rides. See, this was another thing. In the High Middle Ages, the waist was actually like right at the bottom of the rib cage. The waist is not where we as modern Western people use the term waist. That's why you have images that look like, another example here is, I'll take this one. I think I've got this open. Here we go. You have images like this, where you have this very wasp-waisted, very narrow waist that is very high. I mean, it's even above his elbow. So that was a stylistic thing of the Middle Ages. Hers kind of does that, but hers actually, actually, if you draw the line across the elbows, you can see there that her breastplate goes way below the line between the elbows there. So her rib cage is probably in here. That's probably about where her rib cage ends, and this goes way down past that. And I mean, there were different ways to armor that lower abdomen part of the body. Here we go. Lower abdomen part of the body with folds and articulation that apparently they chose not to do here for Galadriel's armor. I mean, she has these, I don't even know what to call them, to be honest with you. They're not folds, they're not, let's see if I can find the term in these. I mean, maybe tuiles, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, whether this even applies, because I mean, they're more on the side. These are like attached to the falls, which are attached to the breastplate. And I mean, hers are more attached at the side. And I was trying to find this earlier. I don't even see any articulation. I don't see any way that these move, except that they look attached like here to the breastplate. Maybe. I don't know. But there's no rivet here on the breastplate to indicate that these, I don't know, whatever we'll call them, are attached directly to the breastplate. So they might be attached to a belt that is at her waist and under the breastplate. Don't know. So, I mean, they're just kind of floppy things just lying on there. I mean, maybe, okay. But I mean, there could have been better options for that, like going with a set of folds somehow. I mean, for instance, take this dude. So I mean, see, you have these folds all reinforced. I mean, this is more 16th century, super like high Middle Ages. And is this Italian? I don't know. This might be, I'm not sure if this is German or Italian, to be honest. This might be Italian. I'm trying to remember the name of this helmet because I think this helmet comes apart in a couple of different pieces. But anyway, my point is, I don't know why they decided to go with this, other than the fact that it looks like a skirt, which, okay, fine. I guess we can give them that. However, here with these are not pauldrons, they are closer to spalders. And the difference is that one set articulates up, and we have a pauldron as so and as so, but spalders articulate I guess you might say down, because they overlap going down, like a lorica segmentata, Roman legionnaires armor. So going back to this one, let's see here. You see here, here's a good example of what they've got going on here. So this is kind of a nice, see, that one is articulated overlapping going down. However, other examples articulate overlapping going up. It just depends on the style, depends on the armor, depends on the period as well. So here's another one going with the overlapped going down. And as you can see, this is another example of, this is very, very German. Because you see the fluting, and you see the Germans at this time like this particular style of helmet called a sallet, and there's the bevor, which is chin armor, protection for the chin. And so you can see from this angle, again, how high the waist is on this particular instance. It's like practically above the level of the elbow, when the elbow is just hanging down on the vertical. So again, I'm not really sure what they are going for here. The mail here is, I personally feel, rather sloppy, because maybe it kind of looks cool. Maybe they're kind of going for something that ties in the whole male skirt together. I don't know. But at the shoulder point, you don't see that. You do not see that in historical period examples. And I understand this is fantasy, but we're trying to do a high fantasy thing. And if you're going into something like what was inspired by the illustrators Alan Lee and John Howe, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce the gentleman's name, who both illustrated Tolkien for years before they were brought on to Peter Jackson's version of Lord of the Rings to be concept artists. John Howe, Howe, is a gentleman who is a reenactor, and he has a lot of this equipment. And one thing that I do know is that this sort of mail would be under the armor, and it would protect the armpit, because the point of mail, chainmail, at this period of probably 80 to 90% plate covering the body was to protect the small joints. The mail was supposed to protect the gaps. And so that's why I am very disappointed at this right here, where there is no mail in there, and we just have the gambeson going on, just the padded undergarment, just the padded garment that you wear over yourself and between you and your and the armor. The problem with this is that you get into something called half sorting, and while you may do fencing holding the blade by the handle, when you hold the blade by the handle, sure, you're going to do blade on blade, you're going to appreciate all the plate armor, all that the plate armor does for you. But as soon as you get into thrusting with the point, which is more of an Italian style as well, then you also have something called half sorting, which is using your sword as basically a small spear. And you have these sorts of problems going on. So you have the point of the armor, the point of the sword rather, attacking the joints of the armor and finding the chinks in the armor, the openings, if you will. So you have a small period example there, a painting, maybe a woodcut, I'm not really sure. And here you have another modern illustration of some reenactors doing something. And you see, I mean, the point is that you can use your offensive sword not just to hack and slash, but you also use it as a small spear, as a thrusting weapon and you go for those small openings. I mean, the visor is a point of contact. I mean, that's where you go. That's where the fake Bucher, the fight books instruct you to attack. So, I mean, she's actually, some of this mail, she could take this mail that's just dangling and not doing anything and put it, there underneath the counter, the coute, if you will. I'm not entirely sure how you want to say that, if you're just English, counter, whatever. I guess the van braces and the river braces look okay. She has no gauntlets, which, fine. That's okay. She's got the, I believe the cuirasses, and we can't really tell too much about them from this limited view to really give an opinion. I guess they're attached up and under what we're going to call these aren't folds, but we'll call it the skirt. Up and under her skirt of plate. So who knows how those are attached, maybe to the belt up top. And going back to another couple of examples, let's see if I can find that other one again. Oh, here we go. Here's the gambeson, the padded garment that is used under the plate armor. So you can see like the gentleman wearing it there. It has rows of stitching, and the padding is quilted. It's basically a quilted garment. So it's several layers of material, and it's used basically, just as padding. Like football players have to wear pads. Sure, same thing. So you want the padding under your armor. So, I mean, she's got some of that. You can actually see that, which is actually, I got to give them props for this one, because they actually did get this right. You can even see the quilting there through this gap, but dadgummit, they need mail there. So, I'm seeing something here. I don't know if this is a scabbard or what this is right here. By her, I guess this would be her right hip, unless this image is just reversed, and maybe that's a sword on her left hip. I don't know. Maybe, who knows if this image has been reversed or not. I don't know. Again, the cuirasses, I don't know. The pauldrons, I guess they look okay. Not the pauldrons. Let's see the technical term for these guys here. I'll make sure I get this right. Pauline for these. The pauldrons are on the shoulder. These are pauldrons, shoulder plates, guard brace, breastplate, etc., etc. Bevor or bevor. So we are looking at the Paulines down here. I mean, okay, don't know. I don't know how this articulation works. Maybe it's good, maybe not. But I think the biggest thing really is the armor around the neck. I mean, that just looks like it's going to be uncomfortable as all get out for her. So, I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see the video of how she actually moves in this armor and see if she can actually move around. I mean, there's one clip of her on horseback in this armor, but okay, that's horseback. She's just riding, but she's not striking. She's not moving around. She's not turning her head very much. She's just looking straight ahead, galloping on her horse. So, okay. So that's pretty much everything, I think. I'll wrap it up there since this is a bit of a longer video and say, hey, thanks for watching. Appreciate y'all. I will include some photos and links in the description, and y'all can check them out and let me know in the comments what you think. And some people who have more knowledge of this particular period of armor than I do are more than welcome to chime in. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, appreciate y'all and peace out.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother...